He was scared. More than scared, he was terrified.
Henry refuses to step into the cave because it represents the one thing he cannot control, cannot twist, and cannot bend to his will. For a character who has mastered memories, rewritten minds, and reshaped the Upside Down itself, this moment of fear isn't just shocking, it's revealing. It tells us that beneath Vecna's monstrous confidence lies a very real, buried trauma tied directly to his origin story. Stranger Things 5, Volume 1 drops the clue in Episode 4, but the breadcrumb trail leading to this moment began long before, scattered across Henry's past, the upside-down secrets, and even in the stage play The First Shadow. Henry following Max through the forest is already unnerving. He appears in his Henry form, but with the corrupted, rotting hand of Vecna, a perfect symbol of what he's become. The clean-cut human exterior, stained by blood, barely hides the monster underneath. His quiet stalking almost feels like a callback to a slasher villain, yet everything changes the moment Max disappears into the cave. Henry stops dead. His expression, wide-eyed, trembling, frozen, does not belong to the Henry we know. This is not the hunter. This is the hunted. The show doesn't explain it in the moment, but it doesn't need to. The answer is already hidden in Stranger Things lore. This is the cave where Henry first encountered the Mind Flayer. That single fact reframes the entire scene. In The First Shadow, we watch Henry as a disturbed and curious child, exploring Hawkins in ways no normal boy ever would. His fascination with power, his estrangement from his family, and the early signs of telekinesis all point to someone who was already, quote, different. But the play reveals that while Henry had darkness inside him, he was not the architect of the Upside Down's horrors. At least, not alone. The Mind Flayer's influence came first. Henry stumbled into the cave as a child, believing he was exploring, but what he found was something ancient, hungry, and waiting. The cave wasn't just a location. It was the birthplace of Vecna. The moment Henry encountered the Mind Flayer, the empty storm cloud of particles slid into his mind, twisting his abilities, feeding on his loneliness, and whispering to his darkest instincts. The play implies that Henry did not simply choose evil. Evil chose him. The Mind Flayer manipulated him, magnified his resentment, and shaped him into the weapon it needed. And now, decades later, when Henry stands before the cave again, that childhood trauma hits him like a wall. His refusal to step inside is not strategic, it's instinctual. It's fear. The way he holds himself in that moment, stiff, trembling, resembles Will Byers during his Mind Flayer visions. This mirroring matters. It hints that Henry, for all his cruelty, is not completely separate from the victims we've watched over the years. He, too, was manipulated. He, too, was pulled into the Upside Down against his will. He, too, was touched by something far older and far more malevolent. This theory explains why Max escaping into the cave works so perfectly. She doesn't just choose a hiding place. She chooses the one place Henry cannot reach. It's not a shield, it's a scar, and his reaction confirms everything. The cave forces Henry to confront the truth he refuses to admit. He is not the ultimate evil. He is the Mind Flayer's creation. This cracks open an entirely new understanding of Stranger Things Season 5. For the past 2 seasons, the story has treated Vecna as the main villain. Henry has appeared unstoppable, someone who can enter minds, twist memories, and orchestrate murders from other dimensions. But if this cave can paralyze him, then the power hierarchy is bigger and more complex than the show has allowed us to see. Look closely at Stranger Things 5, Volume 1, and the clues begin stacking up. 1. Will's new powers mirror Henry's. Will senses the Upside Down. He hears the Mind Flayer. He shares that same connection the Mind Flayer once used to manipulate Henry. This parallel is deliberate. It shows that Henry wasn't just born a monster. He was chosen, just like Will was almost chosen. 2. Henry's memories flicker when he's near the cave. During Episode 4, subtle sound cues, the Mind Flayer's static, the low rumbling echo scenes from Season 2 when Will was being possessed. That audio detail is not an accident. It anchors Henry's fear to something specific, his first possession. 3. The cave markings are identical to spore tunnels in Season 2. Fans who freeze-frame the walls can see the faint roots and tendrils resembling the organic textures of the Upside Down spreading under Hawkins. This visually confirms the cave as an early portal. It was always connected to the dark dimension. 4. The Mind Flayer particles behave differently in the cave. Past episodes show them drifting like dust. Inside the cave, they move with intention, like they are alive, almost waiting. This suggests the Mind Flayer still has a presence there, even if dormant. All these clues work together, and when combined, they reveal a truth Stranger Things has been hinting at since Season 1. Vecna is not the puppeteer. He is the puppet. Even Henry's overwhelming power, reshaping reality, constructing the psychic dark dimension he uses to hunt victims, makes more sense through this lens. He didn't create the power, he amplified it. And the Mind Flayer planted the seed. So why does this cave matter for the rest of Stranger Things Season 5? Because if Henry fears it, then the cave is the key to defeating him. Every major villain in Stranger Things has had a weakness tied to their origin. The Demogorgon dies from fire. The Mind Flayer is vulnerable outside its dimension. The Flayed were held together by possession. And now, Vecna's weakness may be psychological, the cave that holds his first memory of powerlessness. This theory suggests that in Volume 2, the group might not just need to fight Henry, they have to expose the truth he's been hiding from himself. Kind of like how the show used memories to fight Vecna in Season 4, but in reverse. Instead of confronting their trauma, they must confront his. Imagine the possibilities. What if the cave contains remnants of the Mind Flayer that can break Henry's control? What if the cave is a natural portal, one that bypasses Vecna's psychic influence entirely? What if the cave shows Henry that he was never the master, only the manipulated child he once was? This also reshapes Vecna's motivations. If he was corrupted, not just cruel, then the Mind Flayer remains the true villain, the one who started everything, from Will's abduction to Hawkins' destruction. In fact, earlier episodes hinted at this. When Henry speaks about the Mind Flayer in Season 4, his tone isn't reverence, it's resentment. He claims he shaped the Mind Flayer into a spider. But what if that's just Henry convincing himself he's in control when deep down he knows the truth? When Will senses Vecna in Season 5, what he's actually sensing might be the Mind Flayer beneath him, the same presence Henry first met in the cave. When Max returns and navigates Henry's memories, she finds gaps, places Henry cannot fully confront. Those gaps likely include the cave encounter he refuses to revisit. The biggest revelation is emotional, not just plot-driven. Henry Creel, the coldest, most terrifying villain of the series, is still haunted by something he cannot face. The Mind Flayer broke him long before 11 ever sent him into the Upside Down. He may have embraced the darkness, but he didn't discover it. He was consumed by it. And that brings us back to the moment in Episode 4. The reason Henry cannot step into the cave is not because he fears what's inside. He fears what it turns him back into, a powerless boy, standing before something beyond comprehension. Stranger Things 5 is clearly setting up the final confrontation not just as a battle of powers, but as a battle of origins. A confrontation between what Henry became and what he used to be. When Volume 2 releases, we may discover that Henry's greatest enemy is not 11, not the Hawkins kids, and not even Max. It's the cave. The place where the monster inside him was born. And if the heroes can unlock what happened there, if they can use Henry's deepest fear against him, they may finally uncover the one way to end Vecna, the Mind Flayer, and the Upside Down once and for all. Until then, the cave remains the darkest secret of Stranger Things. And Henry's terror is the biggest clue that the final battle isn't just physical, it's psychological, ancient, and tied to the very beginning of everything.